It's Tamara from shelfaddiction.com, and I'm here today to talk about the third installment of the Huntress series by Jeaniene Frost. This book was titled At Gray's End. Before we get started, let me excuse myself for looking down. There were so many things going on in this book. I had to make a few notes so I didn't forget any of the important parts. So if you see me looking down here and there, it's just because I'm glancing at my tablet notes. So anyway, this is the third installment. I listened to it on audio as I did the first two, and it's getting better and better. I mean, this book, honestly, this series as a whole is just so fast-paced. It's been a minute since I read such an action-filled series. I mean, the action never stops. Never. And that's like one of the best things about this series, especially this book. I mean, we start off basically where the last book left off. And, of course, you know, this time around there's a different villain. And it's kind of strange who the villain is. But I'll get to that later. First, let's start with Cat and Bones. They're their usual selves in this installment. Witty, banter back and forth. You know, it's clear that they love each other, and they're really cute together. And, of course, Bones always is extra protective of Cat, and Cat is, you know, trying to show him that she is not a fragile, you know, piece of glass, and she won't break. And that's, like, I think the main theme of them through this book. Like, they are learning each other still, and they are trying to adjust to each other's ways, and, like, you know, kind of give and take like you have to do in relationships. So throughout this book, you know, you see Cat get in a situation, then Bones rescues her, then Bones does something and doesn't tell Cat, and then Cat gets pissed, and then Bones is pissed, and you know, it's that whole, you know, power struggle between them. But you know, that's nothing new. So also in this book, we get to see Cat's team, and you know, Bones is a part of that team now, and while they're trying to figure out what's going on, you know, we get to, you know, I forgot that guy's name, but there's a guy on Cat's team who, you know, clearly since the last book has had like a little crush on her. And throughout this book, it's kind of comical to see how he and Bones constantly go back and forth. They always have something to say to each other. They're really nasty toward each other. It's kind of funny, actually. But, and also, while we're on the characters, Cat's mom makes a total transformation in this book. It's kind of crazy. Like, she goes from I hate vampires to, you know, I don't really want to tell you everything because it's a shocker. I mean, it's not like she hooks up with a vampire or anything, but it's just as bad, if not worse. I mean, she totally goes polar, you know, 180 in the opposite direction, and, you know, I feel like she still kind of hates vampires, but she's definitely working through her issues that she has. Also, in this book, Bones teams up with Mancaries. I think that's how it's pronounced. That's his grandsire. Basically, Mancaries gives Bones, like, his power, or some of his power, so he's stronger than he was before. And that is good because throughout this book, you know, especially from that point forward, there is, like, crazy fighting and chases and, you know, I mean, this is like a non-stop action book, and, you know, Bones needed that extra power to save his butt, to save Cat's butt. You know, it's kind of crazy what happens, but I don't want to give too much away, because, you know, I've been on this whole anti-too-many spoilers kick, so I don't want to give too many away. Anyway, so, I gotta say, with the villain, trying to figure out who the villain is was kind of interesting, because, like, you think you know who it was, and then it kind of veer back another way. And then you think you know who's working for that villain, and then it swing back another way. So, you know, that was kind of interesting because it kept you on your toes and listening, trying to figure out who's the traitor, who isn't the traitor on their teams. And, you know, it was like it came down to an all-out war. You had to pick a side. Either you were on Bones and Mancary's side, or you were on said villain's side. And when you find out who the villain is, it's like, really? What? Because, you know, at the end, you know, I'm not going to give it away, but at the end, how they defeat the villain, because you know they do, they always do at the end of every book, but how they defeat the villain is almost comical. It's like, really? You could have did that 50 pages in. I mean, when you find out how they defeated that person, you're going to be like, wow, what was all that about? Why did you have to do things the hard way? You could do things the easy way. But, you know, I guess then you wouldn't have a story if you did things the easy way. So, you know, I'll let that pass. But anyway, so we talked about Cat and Bones, you know, their cute selves to read about. The action. Oh, of course, you know, you can't get through one of these books I'm seeing without Cat getting a major beatdown. So be prepared. There is a scene in here where, I mean, she is getting a major beatdown. I mean, it's very graphic. You're like, oh my God, that's horrific. So be prepared. And it seems like that's the trend. It seems like at least once per book, Cat is gonna like get it. It's just like inevitable. And of course, you know, Bones comes in and saves the day at the very last second, right before she's about to bite it. You know how that goes. So, what would I rate this book? I really enjoyed it. It was like almost a movie. It was so fast paced. You know, it was all these, you know, twists and turns and ups and downs and, you know, high emotion all throughout the book. And it was like at a breakneck pace, which is like fun. And, you know, as you know, I read this on audio. It was the same narrator. So, of course, I enjoyed it. That narrator is spot on, per usual. So, I had no complaints there. So, overall, I give it a 4 out of 5 bookmarks. You know, it was near perfect, but not quite. You know, I kind of had a hang-up when I found out exactly how they defeated the villain in the end. I'm kind of like, ooh, that's kind of like, why? What was the point of all that? But, you know, that one thing aside, the book is great. And, you know, this series is great. And I will keep on reading it. It's very entertaining. And I recommend this series. You know, if you're new and you happen to be watching this video and you haven't read the other books, let me say, if you want to dip your toe into the paranormal romance genre, you can do it with this. I mean, it's really good. You will like it. I mean, I can't imagine that you wouldn't. It's really good. And, you know, also, if you've read, like, maybe Black Dagger Brotherhood or the Midnight Breed series, either of those two series, you'd like this as well. The difference between those two series and this Night Huntress series is that in those series, every book is like focused on a different vampire and his mate in some way. So you get to a certain point, then they start talking about them all in groups somewhat. But basically in this book, it's Cat and Bones every book. I can't see them incorporating other major characters. You know, we'll have a lot of sub-characters and, you know, a lot of other people around to make the story, but it focuses on Cat and Bones versus the others where you get one vampire and one mate per story. So that's the major difference, but regardless, they're all entertaining. They read fast. They're, you know, almost like guilty pleasure. It's like you're just going to just keep reading and reading and reading, or listening rather in this case. You know, I read the other books, but this one I'm listening to. So, I mean, and this is an awesome book to listen to as well. So, I do recommend it for audio, and I do recommend you check it out. So, you know, that's that. So, 4 out of 5 bookmarks. If you read the previous 2, you know you're going to read the third one. You can't help but read it. Come on, you're going to. So, if you reviewed this, leave me a link below, or if you did a video about this, you know, do a video response below. I'd love to read and see what you thought of this book. And, you know, I'll continue on next month with book 4. And hopefully you'll join me, or at least check back in and see what I thought about book 4. So, as always, please subscribe if you haven't yet so you can catch my next videos. And also like the video if you liked what I had to say about this book. And we'll see you next time. Until then, happy reading. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.